the time spent on the highway, this is how I'm going to put it, that if you're traveling solo on the highway, getting up to 100 kilometers an hour,
No stress.
no stress. It's smooth, it's effortless. It gets there. You can even go past that. It's not that there's a drop off. It's just, again, like that same flyover situation.
When you're trying to get torque to overtake something, suddenly you realize, ooh, calorific
When you want
value.
that little bit of a bump up
Correct.
in responsiveness, when you go flat, then you feel like every time it was like, oh, I'm having to push down more than I wanted to or expected to. And then I'd switch to petrol. And in that, I just feel that, yeah, this is that 20 horsepower then becomes more apparent, the
Right.
gap, when you're out on a faster road. And the switch is so easy that you don't really have to think about it.
Right.
Like on the highway, then I just end up using
But
petrol.
do you think, just as an idea, the Chetak has the same issue? Electric, you put it in economy mode, you do this, it's not going. So Bajaj says, I can see that you're requesting torque right now. I'm going to quickly give you sport mode, and you go through the situation, and then it turns back to economy mode, right? You think that since the integration is smooth now, you're saying there's a click and that's it. Couldn't they just do that? Saying, oh, torque demand is high because they're trying to overtake. You're already past, say, 85 kilometers an hour when the system awakens. And when you do this, you quickly switch to petrol. And as long as you're on the throttle with that much of an opening, it stays in petrol. When you back off, the opening goes right back to CNG. You can't do that?
I think it should be done.
Okay.
And that's one of the things I wrote in my notes. Does this have an auto switch feature? And which, to me, makes so much sense.
No, because it's already in the name, right?
Yeah.
Intelligent. CNG?
I'm giving you time.
Think about it. It's the iCNG. What does the I stand for?
This is a point he also made when we spoke about the Tiago CNG. And the Tiago CNG was like, okay, but I think in the Nexon, it felt like this would be the natural progression.
Yeah, and I'm also correlating from the other side where you're saying, look, these are not the largest fuel tanks for CNG anyway, and you are probably going to be in petrol mode anyway, right? So if you are doing a small extra urban trip where you can afford to run in CNG, then that sense of loss of performance in that momentary situation when you're trying to pass somebody can just be prevented by the machine saying, I recognize that you want extra torque right now. The fastest way is to give it to you from the petrol. We've got the refinement down pat. So here, have some torque, overtake that thing, and then we can go back to saving fuel again.
It's like the automatics used to have that kick down switch, right?
Yeah.
So once you hit the switch, then it would just go down a gear automatically.
Yeah. Effectively the same thing.
Yeah. It actually makes a lot of sense. That would be the simplest way to do it. If your foot has gone down flat and you're in CNG mode, just switch to petrol.
It's what I tell Bajaj to do on the Freedom 2. I mean, Bajaj says that, look, the performance output in petrol and CNG is exactly the same. But when you accelerate, you can tell that there is a difference. And I don't mind the difference. But if I am going straight to 80-85% throttle, then I'm quite happy to have this Freedom switch to petrol, give me as much performance as it's got. And then when I back off down to 60-70% throttle or a steady state, go right back to burning CNG. That system is also smooth enough to pull this off. So I wouldn't think that this would interrupt your flow.
Yeah. I think that the iCNG, the I part of it would have really been earned with something like that.
Yeah.
So as is, yes, you still do have to toggle, but the systems work well, what it has.
So it's like an old Maruti 800 in that sense, you remember?
Switch off the AC.
Yeah. We used to do this, okay? We were in college and my teacher used to drive us home, me and Chandan both. And whoever was sitting in the front would have one finger on the AC button. And the idea was that when Pramila ma'am decided to overtake something, we'd switch off the AC for her. Come on the other side and we switch the AC back on.
Yeah, correct. We'd always, some cabbies even do it now.
Yeah, they still do it.
When you hit the guards, they'll be like, AC off.
Yeah.
And they're typically on CNG.
Yeah, they are. No, because you can, in the cabs at least, where this is in many cases, non-factory integrated systems, you can tell how much inferior the integration is, because at the slowest of slopes, immediately the thing will start to judder, and then he has to immediately downshift and find a lower gear. Worst case scenario, if it's really steep, go back to petrol for a moment, which they hate doing, obviously, because the cost delta for them is quite a bit. But you can tell you're in a CNG because every time they overtake something, and they never change gears, right? It's like third or fourth the whole time. And you're like, what are you laughing at?
That should be a meme. Hello, if you enjoyed this clip, which means you're into good conversations, and that's what we're all about. It's really hard packing in the essence of an idea into a 60-second clip. This 3-minute, 5-minute video would have given you a sense of that, and you can enjoy this entire conversation in its full glory on the MotorInc channel. So why don't you head out over there and subscribe to that, and you could subscribe to this channel as well if you enjoyed it.